they include in the budget for education, including math and science. We hear a lot from business leaders throughout the state of the need for solid math and science education opportunities for today's students. So yes, I think it's going to continue, and there'll be a lot of support for it.
Without any question, economic development, we have a good set of programs and really an outstanding set of teamwork between local officials and the state officials, and the strategies that have been put in place. Dick described the Iowa Values Fund and the variety of tax credit programs, tools that local governments have, tax increment financing, tax abatement. That set of programs is really working, performing extremely well right now. That tied with, as you said, Governor Clover really, and Lieutenant Governor Judge both have put a real focus on trying to transform our economy in the direction of producing the kinds of jobs and the kinds of industries, that is, whether you call them green collar jobs or clean technology jobs of the future. And Iowa has really distinguished itself and has become a leader in that. Certainly you can see it in biofuels plants. Number one, the production of ethanol, 28 plants operating in the state today, 2.5 billion gallons of ethanol produced, and the demand for that growing increasingly across the country. That industry is doing well. Biodiesel, number two producer of biodiesel in the country, and depending how you measure it, number three or number four, the production of electricity. In fact, I think we had an announcement today from the American Wind and Energy Association that Iowa ranks number one in the percentage of electricity produced in Iowa from wind. So we're ahead of all states in terms of our percentage. We've got 1,200 wind turbines standing all across northern and northwest Iowa, and right along with that production of that industry, the governor has worked very hard to help attract companies, the manufacturing companies, which produce turbines, blades, towers, and to really locate those companies here, which we've had great success with. We've got three of the biggest names in the world in those industries locating in Iowa, and we've been really focusing on economic development, tying Iowa's existing industries, steel manufacturers, tower manufacturers, into those equipment manufacturers. And so we've really seen a transformation beginning here and off to a solid footing of turning our old manufacturing base toward a new manufacturing base of industries of the future. So we're off to a great start, and I would say that really has produced outstanding results for us so far, and we've got great prospects going forward.
Guardedly, I say that economic development is, definitely positive. However, we are the third highest payer of commercial property tax in the country. And if you talk to our members up in northwest Iowa on the South Dakota border or the Nebraska border, and incentives are great, but I think we need to continue to create a competitive business climate for the manufacturers that are already here, and make things as easy as possible for them to do business, and continually increasing that tax burden on them and the regulatory burdens and that kind of thing doesn't help in that end. So if there's any way that we can offset that, the green movement is fantastic and it's great for our economy, but there are a lot of great innovative advanced manufacturers outside of that spectrum that are doing some phenomenal things, and they need every bit of our attention that they can get as well.
Just a couple things to add on. Mike mentioned the percentage of electricity that's generated by renewable resources. I think Mid-American Energy has shared with us that by close to the end of this year, about 20% of their electric generation capacity will be coming from renewables, which is a remarkable figure. And then we also see with companies in the Des Moines area on expansion projects and new building projects are looking more and more at LEED certification and green buildings. So I think there really is a strong trend in that area as well.
With the green movement, and then the legislature this year passed the portal bill for Microsoft and any other large technology company. Those two sectors aside, what are some areas where we might see some growth for economic development, manufacturing, and could we see some more financial services companies locating here?
Well, I if you haven't been to a lot of Iowa's rural areas lately, many people would be, even Iowans, would be shocked at what is evolving in terms of biotechnology in rural areas. If you haven't been down, driven past Eddyville lately, and seen that Iowa Bioprocessing Center, which is located there, which is probably at least $1 billion of investment of at least 4 or 5 global companies operating all inside, not just in an industrial park, but all inside the fence and all selling and reusing each other's products and producing products. That biorefinery, that to me is the picture of the rural economy of the future. And we're seeing that that's a huge wet mill operation that is bringing in over 300 cars of corn a day and putting out output way beyond ethanol, of food supplements and just a wide variety of outputs coming out of that plant. And we've got developing under construction now in Clinton, Iowa. You've got the world's largest bioplastics plant. They are a $500 million investment into a facility there by ADM. We've got down in Roquette, down in Keokuk, now under construction right outside Fort Dodge. Tate & Lyle building a huge wet mill. We're seeing an evolution of biotechnology as the whole globe converts from a fossil fuel-based economy to a bio-based economy. Iowa is perfectly poised with Iowa State University and the research, the University of Iowa and the research of the capacities there, with the biomass, corn and beans, not to mention all the other forms of biomass, of which Iowa is the epicenter of that available biomass, and the workforce to make the kind of transition to these new technologies. Iowa's very well poised to grow in the future in biotechnology.
Jim, I was going to say, Jimmy, you are the former president of the Clark County Development Corporation. You still serve on that. You could probably give a little snapshot of the role
certainly,
of development.
yes, Iowa Banks and the Iowa Bankers Association are definitely interested in actively participating in economic development activities. Locally, an example just in our local paper this week, Mike talked about the involvement of community colleges in our workforce training. Southwestern Community College in Preston this week had a headline article in our local paper. They have training contracts in place right now for, I think it was 457 new jobs in South Central Iowa. And that's pretty exciting and pretty encouraging. The employers are scattered. The employers generally like 20, 30, 40 new employees, so they don't make headlines, but collectively there's a lot going on in smaller enterprises, small manufacturing, and those types of things. So we're optimistic and encouraged about that. A couple of clouds on the horizon though. One Lisa already talked about. A priority of our Economic Development Task Force at the Iowa Bankers Association is to try to persuade the legislature to address property taxes. The burden on, especially commercial property tax, is a detriment to economic expansion and outside investment. And then along with that, the second problem is the deterioration of our transportation, highway, and bridge infrastructure. There's a proposal in the legislature, Time 21, to address this. I think it's not only an issue for all of us that drive up and down the road,